It was very good. So I promise. I usually don't eat till like 8 or 9 and then after the day's done. So no, it was like a mile after. Alsa, that'd be Alsa's third goal. Who are you? Young and hard. You're more active than some people. Going in the woods, fighting off wild dogs, dragging terrorists. What? It's a caravan like that. She's really fun. Sure.
Please rise. Welcome to our meeting today on Monday, February 27th, 2023. It's great to have Max Moldovan as our speaker today. And on behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Board of Directors of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club, I hereby call to order the 24th meeting of our 60th year of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. Our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, will be given by Pastor Sean Green of the Canal Fulton United Church of Christ. United Methodist Church. We'll get it right yet. Sean?
Yes, thank you. All right, let's bow our heads. Dear God, we just thank you that you have blessed the hands that prepared the food today. We thank you that we are able to gather together as brothers and sisters and just reminisce about the good sports stories, the days of old, and also the days that are yet to come. Lord, we thank you for, again, Mr. Moldovan for coming in to speak to us and your blessings upon this meeting as we gather together in fellowship today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today it's 4. You guys get that, all right. Okay, our special introduction of special guests. To my right, who you just heard from, Pastor Sean. Thank you again. To his right, our esteemed trustee, Al Mayfield. He's always got a big fan club out there, and that's good. That's good. Down here in front of me, of course, our continuing streaming partner, Start Media, with TJ Downing, and a new member of his group today. Over in the corner is Mr. Jeff Tyler. Jeff is from the Ashland area. We welcome them both again. To my left, your right, our table consists of Maxwell, our guest speaker. Next, Maxwell is our former president and past president of our group here, longtime member Tim Hobart. And on the far end, batting cleanup today is Maxwell's dad, John. Thank you. Recognition of our corporate sponsors to either side of me on the video boards. We have Aultcare's Primetime Health, Dr. Peter Ferguson, Wilkshire Golf Course, and Liberty Ford. We thank them for their continued support. Again, as a reminder, I know you all are packing out there today, so please turn these guys off to stun only, okay? I also have, for those that are new members, if you joined this year and did not get one of our license plate frames, please see the back table in the back room, and we'll gladly supply you with one of those free. Next week, we will be starting early, so please mark your calendars. We will have, I'll just say, special guests or possibly guests. So we are going to need to start at 11:30 instead of the normal 12. So if that means backing up everything, to get your meal in and all, please do so, because I'm not at liberty to say who will be here, but I know you all like it, okay? Also, announcing that we have selected a nominating committee. So if any of you out there would care to serve the club as an officer or a trustee, those trusteeships are either 1 or 2 years, depending on where our openings are. Please see past presidents, Jeff Thornberry or Jim Mitchell, or thank you, Jim Osborne. I had Jim Mitchell written down twice. So Jim, and Jeff. We've got Canton's famous for the OJs. We have the All Jays. Okay, they're our selection committee. So please consider that if you would serve our club. And now, since we have a golfer to hear from today, I'm going to give you a golf fact and then a short golf story. So, golf fact, 50% of those of you who might golf can break 100, 50%, okay? That drops down to 26% can break a score of 90. This, of course, is for 18 holes, guys, not 9. Yeah. And less than 2% of golfers can claim to, on a regular basis, break 80. And lastly, of course, when we think of elite golfers, they certainly are, because 0.92% can break a score of 70. So that kind of keeps it all in perspective, and we all know how humble the game of golf can be, and for most of us. All right, now the golf story. Guy stands up over the tee shot for what seems like an eternity, looking up, looking down, measuring the distance, figuring out the wind speed and the speed that he's going to need to hit. Finally, exasperated, his partner says, "What's taking so long? Hit the damn ball." The guy answers, "My wife is up there watching from the clubhouse. I want to make this a perfect shot." "Forget it, man," says his partner. "You'll never hit her from here." All right. Thank goodness I have no deaths or illnesses to report that I'm aware of. We'll move right into our raffle tickets. Today it's worth, the 50/50 is worth $152, and Jim Osborne will pass out the winnings. So get your tickets ready and we'll have Maxwell draw the winner.
Shallow, whatever be your pleasure. One. That's it? Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, the winning ticket is 831. You gotta still be in, don't you?
You're in the ball.
Okay. All right, 179. Right up here. Ozzy all the way front here at this table here. Congratulations on your winnings. Next week's speaker will be Ann Griffiths from the Hall of Fame. And to introduce today's speaker, our esteemed former president, Jim Harvard. Jim?
Thank you, Jim. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Long time since I've been up here. Okay, today we are honored to have with us a very intelligent and a very talented speaker. He has accomplished in his short 21 years, but most of us haven't done in a lifetime. Maxwell Moldovan was born in Uniontown, Ohio. He's the only son of John and Lee Moldovan. Growing up next to Prestwick Country Club and playing there most of his life. Obviously, he's a good golfer. His father, John, is also an accomplished golfer and a teaching pro at Prestwick. His mother is an excellent basketball player at the University of Akron, where I think she held the three-point record for a long time, right? And she's also a police officer for the Akron Police Department. Max attends the Ohio State University, and where he's studying marketing and carries a +3 GPA. Max has got a whole list of accomplishments here that I don't have time to go into, but they'll give you some details. But I'm going to give you a couple of them. At the age of 13, Max qualified for the National Drive, Chip, and Putt Championship held at the prestigious Augusta National Golf Course, where he finished third. Playing for Green High School, he won the Ohio Division I Golf Championship his sophomore and junior year. Unfortunately, his senior year, he only finished runner-up. Unbelievable. He also that year, which is 2019, he was the Ohio Amateur Champion, and also he won the prestigious American Junior Golf Player of the Year award, which has never been won by a male from the Midwest ever. At Ohio State, he currently leads his team with a scoring edge of 69, so the statistics you have come to bear. 0.99 is yes. He's also been a two-time NCAA American golfer, All-American golfer. He's been three-time Big Ten Player of the Week. Last year, he qualified to play in the U.S. Open at Brookline Country Club, and I'm sure he's going to try again this year. This year, also, he finished second at the Puerto Rico Championships 2 weeks ago. Above all, Max wants you to understand he has a sincere trust in God. His favorite scripture passage, which is on his website, is from Philippians 4:13. And I quote, "I have the strength for everything through him who empowers me." Ladies and gentlemen, welcome a future member of the Pro Golfers Association, Max Moldovan.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Harper, for that great introduction. It's an honor to be here speaking to special group of people. It's cool to be asked to be one of the people that gets to come speak to you guys. It's a true honor, and I'm grateful to be here. As Tim said, I'm Maxwell Moldovan. I'm a junior at Ohio State right now, studying marketing, really studying golf, but I say I'm studying marketing because I have to. But I grew up right down the road from here in Greene, Ohio. I went to Greene High School. My parents are from this area as well. My dad, he went to Glen Oak High School, played golf at Kent State. As Tim said, he's the teaching professional at Ohio Prestwick now. I'm sure a few of you guys have probably been there before. My mom, she went to Hoover. She played college basketball at Akron, and she's now a police officer with the Summit County Sheriff's Office. If you're wondering why I didn't follow her footsteps and try to play basketball, well, you can see I'm 5'9", so I don't quite have the frame for that. But thankfully, golf's been what I'm supposed to do so far. And both of my parents played a huge role in my career thus far. My dad, obviously being a teaching pro, he got me started in the game when I was really young, put a club in my hand, and I spent a lot of time with him at the golf course, just hitting balls and stuff, and really fell in love with the game. My mom plays quite a bit, so I played a lot of golf with her after school when I was young, and a lot of our family vacations were based around golf. We played a lot of golf. We also played a lot of putt-putt, which was like my favorite thing to do back when I was young. But yeah, I was just around the game so much, it was hard not to fall in love with it. Played my first tournament at the age of 7 over at Tam-o-Shanter, right down the road from here. It kind of stinks that's not a golf course anymore, but yeah, I was able to play my first tournament there and won that one. I think I shot 43 or 44 for 9 holes. So the early success that I had playing the game when I was really young definitely played a role in my continued interest to keep playing. And yeah, growing up in Northeast Ohio, it's a really tight-knit sports community here, as all of you know. A lot of people are invested in the game of golf, which gives a lot of great opportunities to kids like me to compete and chase our dreams at a young age. And also, being from Northeast Ohio, tight-knit sports community, I am too a Cleveland Browns fan, even though that hasn't been the easiest road the last few years, but I'm optimistic about the future. Yeah, so growing up, I played a ton of junior golf tournaments after that first one when I was 7. I was able to become part of a pretty special and talented Greene High School team in 2015, and we made it to the state championship as a team my first couple of years. Finished third my sophomore year, and I was able to win individually. And then we lost a couple of our other key players after that season, so I played at states individually, junior and senior year. And pretty cool story. My junior year, I was able to share the state title with one of my current teammates at Ohio State. His name's Jackson Chandler. And you think something as prestigious as a state championship, you think they'd have a playoff to determine the winner, right? Well, for some reason in their rules, they have co-medalist as an option, and Jackson and I shared that title. So it was interesting in the moment, but looking back on it, I'm super grateful for it because I've been able to become really good friends with Jackson. He's one of my best friends and one of the reasons I chose to be a Buckeye, and it's just cool to look back on that state championship as a big part of my life. And I'll get more into that decision to become a Buckeye here in a couple of minutes. But I'm sure some of you know, but for those that don't, junior golf is not just high school golf. It's a lot of summer events. And as Tim said, I was fortunate to have a really good run with the AJGA, which is, for lack of better terms, the PGA Tour for kids under 18. You get a lot of exposure to college coaches and a lot of opportunities to play great courses around the world. And yeah, it was a really cool experience to play there. I got to play TPC Sawgrass a couple of times. I got to go to Liberty National. I've been to PGA National, where the PGA Tour just finished up yesterday. So the AJGA provided a lot of great opportunities for a young kid from Northeast Ohio. So that was really special. And yeah, deciding where to go to college was not the quickest process for me. As I'm sure a lot of you guessed, being from Ohio, it was very appealing at a young age to maybe go to school down south where I could practice year round. And and it definitely was. Some of the first schools that I was interested in were down south. I took some visits to Georgia, Oklahoma State, Arizona State, UNLV, and I liked all those schools a lot. But as I got older and I started to really think about where I could see myself going to college, with the group of people I had around me, and everybody in Ohio almost is a Buckeye fan. So to really think about myself going somewhere else didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I fell in love with the coaches and the teammates that I have down there, and decided to be a Buckeye, and that's been the best decision of my life so far. That disadvantage that people talk about with not being down south, not being able to practice year round, it's not as big as some people might think, because I grew up here, so I'm used to having not necessarily an off season, but a little bit of downtime between like November and March. So it's great, and Ohio State's a really cool community of people that support it. So we're fortunate enough we get to take a lot of practice trips this time of year down to Florida and Carolinas and take advantage of some good weather when it's not too good back at home. But and we also have a really good indoor facility that we get to use a lot too. So I really don't feel like I'm at any disadvantage to Florida schools or Southern schools being at Ohio State. And kind of like junior golf, I was saying that there's a difference between junior golf and high school golf. There's also, in college golf, you've got amateur golf in the summer, and it's a lot of different events, opportunities, such as Tim was saying, the U.S. Open qualifier, the U.S. Amateur, the Western Amateur, the Southern Amateur, to name a few. So I was grateful enough to have a pretty good ranking in the amateur game before I started my college career, and I was able to play some of those events that summer leading into my college career, and that was really big for me because it was definitely an adjustment going from junior golf and being a little bit of a big fish in a small pond to entering amateur and college golf and being a little fish in a big pond. It was an adjustment, but something that I'm thankful that I was able to catch on to pretty quick. And this past summer I had the best experience of my life. Got to qualify for the U.S. Open at the Country Club, which was probably the best week I've ever had. I had 15 to 20 of my closest friends from home were able to come out and watch. My parents came. One of my best friends from school caddied for me. My fiance got to come. So it was just a really, really cool experience. I got to play a practice round with Scotty Scheffler, who at the time was the #1 player in the world. So it was pretty surreal just being a 20-year-old kid from Northeast Ohio, getting to play a practice round with Scotty Scheffler. The week before that, I just went to the Memorial Tournament just to watch down in Columbus, and then a week later, I'm inside the ropes. So it was pretty surreal, and it went by really fast. But fun story from the practice round with Scotty. Scotty's a super down-to-earth guy, and for anybody who's watched him, I'm sure you've heard him talk about his faith a lot, and that's obviously something that's super important to me. So I look up to Scotty for a lot of ways. But yeah, he's really down-to-earth guy, and we're 10 holes into the practice round, and out of nowhere, we're on the green hitting putts, and he just lets out a huge fart. And I was pretty rattled, honestly. And I look at him, and he's looking over at me smiling, and I was like, "Good one." And yeah, so just to have a moment like that with the #1 player in the world, it was pretty cool. Another good story you guys might like from the Open. The first round of stroke play, I'm looking for a spot on the range, and the only one that was open was right next to Phil Mickelson. So another moment, you're like, where did this come? This came out of nowhere. I'm getting to hit balls and warm up next to Phil. It was pretty cool, and I hit a couple shots, and he looks over at me and goes, "Hey Max, great season this year." And I am so rattled because I'm thinking, how does he even know who I am? And I look back at my dad and my buddy Jake caddying for me, and I just look at Phil. I was like, "Thanks, Phil. I appreciate it." But that's one I can always look back and laugh on because that was pretty cool. Unfortunately, I came a few shots short of making the cut at the Open, but I did learn a lot that week. I learned that if I'm playing my game, I can compete with those guys, but I also learned a lot of things that I need to get better at before, Lord willing, I can get back on that stage sometime soon. And that kind of leads me to this current season, my junior year at Ohio State. It's been awesome so far. We got our first, I'd say, big team win in my 3 years this past fall in California, and moved into the top 25 in the rankings for the first time in my time as a Buckeye, which is pretty special. Being one of the only northern schools that is in that top 25 is really cool. And this past fall, I also got to propose and get a yes from my best friend, and I get to get married to her this October. So I did have some good golf in the fall, but thank you. Yeah, I had some good golf this past fall, but that was definitely the highlight for me.
So what's her name? Put it out there.
Emily Andrego is her name, soon to be Emily Moldovan. This spring season, which I'm in right now, we just got started a couple weeks ago in Puerto Rico. It went really well. Our team's turning in the right direction, and we brought back the whole lineup from last year when we played the NCAA championship. So it's been great this far this season. We leave for our next event in Hilton Head this coming weekend, and then we're on the road 7 of the next 9 weeks. So it's about to get really busy, but this is my favorite time of year because I get to travel with my best friends, my coaches, who, I mean, we're all like a family now. So I get to travel with them and have a lot of fun, and I get to miss some class. So that's pretty good too. And lastly, I just want to talk about my faith a little bit because it is a huge part of my life and plays a big part of my golf career. I grew up in a Christian household and became a believer at a pretty young age. But to be honest, my faith in God was pretty circumstantial and transactional at a young age. I thought that if I believed in Him and prayed and lived what I thought was a good life, then good things would happen to me on the golf course, especially. And I learned as I got older, and now I'm in college, I've learned that that's not necessarily the right way to believe. I was playing an event a couple months ago down in Georgia, the Jones Cup Invitational. It's one of the bigger amateur events every year, and I had a really disappointing final round and was really down on myself, and was in the car on the way home, and one of my good friends, his name's David Ford, he plays for North Carolina. He won that tournament that week, and he was giving his post-round speech, and he talked about playing with a freedom and peace, because no matter how he played, he knew that God loved him and that that's what he was defined by. And I was sitting there and something kind of clicked for me, and I realized that that's a piece that I wanted to have and I wanted to find. And yeah, I've learned that even though we believe in God and we trust Him, that doesn't necessarily mean that no trials or challenges are going to happen to us while we're here on earth. And I've had to learn through some tough times on the golf course that it's a dangerous place to put my identity in a game because, you know, there's going to be ups and downs in a game just like there is in life. But I'm starting to learn that no matter what happens, I'm loved and saved by a Savior, so that no matter what I go through on earth, it doesn't affect what I have waiting for me in heaven. So that's really encouraging, especially as an athlete. It's cool to have faith to rely on, as I'm sure a lot of you know. You know, we're not called to worship things of this world, like for me in the case it'd be golf, but we are called to work as hard as we can at what we do. And I feel like, you know, in my opinion, it's my duty to make the most of all the ability that God's given me to bring Him glory, to encourage other people, to inspire the next generation as much as I can. And a verse that I often think of is Colossians 3:23. It says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters." And this is a pretty cool verse as an athlete that gives me some peace in my mind knowing that God does want me to work my butt off. He wants me to work as hard as I can at this game because He's given me a talent to do it. And that's a really cool thing to have that in the back of my mind when I'm practicing every day and trying to do what I love. But yeah, that's about all I've got for you guys today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you guys. It's been an honor, and wish you guys nothing but the best. So thank you. And I'd like to open it up for any questions anybody has.
Did any of the players that you talked to today pass along about the mental aspect of the games, or did you pretty much aware of that?
Yeah, I feel like not necessarily in the practice round with him, but I learned a lot from what Scotty Scheffler talks about in terms of his mental game. He's kind of been through the whole thing. He played on the Corn Ferry Tour. He now plays on the PGA Tour. It took him a long time to get over the hump and finally win a tournament. And he just talks about a lot of, relying on your faith in those times, and that's something I really look up to.
What's a typical day for you in Ohio State?
Yeah, a typical day is very busy. We have team workouts 3 days a week usually. Those are usually either at 6 a.m. or sometime in the afternoon. I like the afternoon ones better because I like to sleep a little bit. But yeah, I typically have class after that through about noon on a few days a week, and then I'll spend most of the afternoon at the golf course. Sometimes we have team practice, sometimes I'm just working on stuff individually, but there's not a whole lot of downtime.
Could you explain the scoring system for college matches?
Yeah, so for college golf, each team brings 5 players. And typically at a tournament, there's anywhere between 8 and 15 teams. So each team brings 5 players, and each round, the 4 best scores count towards the team score. And then at the end of the tournament, there'll be 12 counting scores for each team for 3 rounds.
Max, what do you consider the strengths of your game, and what areas do you want to improve upon going forward?
I'd say the strengths of my game, and I think my dad would agree, has always been accuracy off the tee. I'm not the longest player by any means, but I hit a lot of fairways, and I think that gives me a good advantage, giving myself a lot of opportunities to hit greens and get birdie opportunities. And then things I'm looking to improve on is adding some distance. I think in order to reach my goals and be a successful player on the PGA Tour, I need to hit the ball a little bit further than I do now. Not much, because I have gotten a lot longer in my few years of college, but I still have a ways to go. And also, I learned a lot at the U.S. Open about hitting high and soft shots into the greens. I typically have a pretty low ball flight, so if I can add a higher shot to my game, I think that's going to serve me well too.
What's your opinion of the live golf?
I was thinking somebody would ask me that. I think it is what it is. There's always going to be new tours, new things that people are trying to do. I definitely understand it for guys that are older and on the back end of their career, an opportunity to play less, spend more time with their family, make more money. All that makes sense. But in terms of where I'm at right now, and a lot of the young guys have talked about, like Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas and those guys, they talk about not necessarily playing the game as much for money as they do for legacy and wanting to be great and wanting to be a champion. And that's why I play the game. I want to be a champion. I want to have a positive impact on people's lives. I want to glorify God as best I can. And I think that the best opportunity to do that would be on the PGA Tour as opposed to live golf. But yeah, I definitely understand both sides of it.
How much weight training do you do?
I do a lot of weight training. Before college, I didn't do much. I wish I would have, because it hit me pretty hard when I got to college. Getting up at 6 a.m. 3 days a week and doing a team workout was a lot to handle right away. But I'm used to it now, and I honestly enjoy it because I know it brings great rewards if you work really hard in the gym, and you're gonna get longer, you're gonna get stronger. So we spend 3 to 5 hours a week working on our strength and mobility and stuff. So it's a lot, but it's great.
Growing up, who was your favorite golfer?
Right now, I've talked about Scotty Scheffler a lot today, but he's probably my favorite player right now. But in terms of my whole life, whenever Tiger Woods plays, it's hard for me not to root for him. just because it's so inspiring watching him play and all that he's done in the game. So.
How many holes in one have you had, and what goes into picking a cat?
For holes in one, I just about 2 years ago tied my dad with 6 of them. So
He had 0 in April of 2019. He had 0.
yeah, they came pretty quick. I had 6 in like 26 months. But so I mean, it's been 2 years. I guess I'm due for another one. My dad and I have a little bit of an inside competition. I'll see who can get to 7 first. And then going into picking a caddy, I think a lot of guys have different answers to this question, but for me, I think it's really important to have someone caddying for me that knows my game really well. And for me, my buddy that caddies for me, we went to school together. He grew up playing golf with me at Prestwick, and he started caddying for me in 2018. And he's got a full-time job now, so he doesn't caddy for me as often as I'd like him to, but he's there for a couple big events every year. He caddied the U.S. Open this past year. He caddies at the U.S. Amateur every year. And hopefully the goal is that I can play on the PGA Tour and he can caddy for me there. But in terms of why I choose him, I think it's important to have a good relationship with your caddy off the golf course too. And I have that. Jake's one of my best friends, so I think it's important to have somebody you're comfortable with. They do know what they're talking about with golf. They've got to be able to read some greens. And thankfully Jake can do all that. But yeah, I think being close with your caddy is important.
What's the roadmap to get to the tour? I mean, you have to go through Q school or play a Corn Ferry tour.
So they just started this new thing 2 years ago, I believe, called PGA Tour University, which is a ranking system for each senior class. So next year I'll be in that ranking system, and the top 10 players of each senior class get a Corn Ferry Tour card right after they graduate. And then the number 1 player for each senior class gets a PGA Tour card right after they graduate. So my goal is to make it through PGA Tour University one way or the other. And then beyond that, it depends how you play that first summer. A lot of guys do end up at Q school. But yeah, it's getting to the PGA Tours. It can be crazy. I mean, you can qualify for the U.S. Open and finish top 10 and never look back, or it can take, I mean, the guy that almost won yesterday, Eric Cole, I think it took him like 13 years to get to the PGA Tour. So it's a path that changes a lot for different people. So I'm just excited to see how it can work out for me.
Olympic golf was in Rio in 16 and Tokyo in 20. Paris is coming up in 24. Any thoughts about that, aspirations for that?
That's coming up soon. I would have to play really well between now and then, but playing in the Olympics is definitely something that I hope to be able to do before my career's over for sure.
Good honeymoon place.
That'd be great.
You went down there to be recruited. I guess you had a surprise down there. I think you were with a bunch of people and
Yeah.
all that. And then there was somebody who wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I went down, I think it was my sophomore year, the week after the state championship. Coach asked me to come down to go to the Penn State game. And we had kind of a full day of recruiting. They showed me around the facilities, around campus a little bit. And then Jack Nicklaus has a museum just off of campus there. So we got to go to the Jack Museum. Had no idea if he was going to be there or not. And then Coach came over to me and he said, "There's someone in the back that wants to say hi." And it was Jack and his wife, Barbara. So that was pretty cool to be able to just say hi to Jack and shake his hand and take a picture with him. That's something I'll always remember.
Since you just got back from Puerto Rico, have you played anywhere else internationally?
I did. I got the opportunity to play in the Junior President's Cup in Australia in 2019. That was a really cool experience. And then last season with the Buckeyes, we went to Bahamas. So that was really cool too. So yeah, and this coming September, the Walker Cup will be at St. Andrews, and that I have a ways to go to qualify for that, but I'm hoping to be there for that.
Yeah,
Yes, I have a two-part question.
Okay.
As far as mentors, besides your dad and your
Mhm.
mom, who kind of helped you along the line as age group, junior high, high school? And then I've been caddying for 55 years locally here,
Okay.
and I've only seen 2 holes in one. So having 6 holes in one, that's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, mentors. Honestly, in high school, it was a lot of my parents. My dad, with as much experience as he has teaching and playing golf, I was able to learn a lot from him. I had a really good high school coach, all 4 years. I had 3 different high school coaches, but my senior year, my high school coach, his name's Greg Andrego. He's gonna be my father-in-law soon. But he was a really good high school coach, and he had a lot of good advice for me my senior year that I was able to take. And now in college, I have a couple of teammates and former Ohio State golf alumni that I've gotten pretty close with that have been good mentors for me in golf and in life and faith. My head coach and assistant coach are both guys I look up to, and they've also mentored me a lot.
Besides Scotty Scheffler, it's reached out to you. Any other touring players reached out to you or had contact with you?
I was able to go to a college golf fellowship retreat at Webb Simpson's house 2 years ago, and that was really cool. Getting to know him a little bit, and I played a practice round at the Open with Patrick Reed too, and he doesn't have necessarily the greatest reputation, but he was one of the nicest guys I met that whole week. He went out of his way to talk to my family, to show me different shots, and he talked to me like he really cared. So that was really cool.
I wish you luck moving forward, and thanks for coming today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Max, you got a relationship with Justin Lauer, who's on the tour now?
I do. Yeah, actually, I forgot about Justin. He's also a guy that I would consider a little bit of a mentor for me. Being from this area, he's been through a lot in the game of golf, and now he's playing on the PGA Tour. So I look up to him a lot. I've got to practice with him a lot. He's a member at Prestwick now, so whenever we're both home, we try to get out and play. And it's cool to have a friend like that's been through a lot of things that I'm hoping to go to. Anybody else? Justin Lauer.
You mentioned that you and Jackson tied in the tournament.
Mhm.
Now that you're both playing for Ohio State, as competitive as I'm sure you are, you guys ever went out besides that who the winner was?
Well, we joke about it a little bit. We always say we should have had a real playoff for that one. But I think both of us are pretty happy with feeling like we shared the state title and can both have our name in the history books with that. But yeah, we've both beat each other a few times on Scarlet since then. So yeah, I have a great relationship with him, and that was a really cool time.
Is equipment a factor at all?
It is. Equipment's a big factor. I've used Titleist golf clubs for probably 7 or 8 years now, and I think I'm biased, but I think they're the best company golf club wise. But I think you ask any big time golfer, there's a lot of equipment that's involved in how well they play and their career for sure.
Any opportunities with the NIL?
Yes, I had a couple last year playing the US Open. I had a couple of local companies that wanted to have a logo on my shirt for that week. So I had a little bit there, but outside of that, not much yet.
So I had a chance to interview you over there at Prestwick before you went out to the US Open. And we talked about, what are some of the most difficult shots before you go out on the course? And we were talking about like 100 and 150 sand coming in. But then you mentioned Scarlet, your home track. What's the toughest hole for you out there? I mean, those sand traps are brutal, but what hole is the toughest for you? And what really is the toughest shot for you when you go out on the course?
At Scarlet, I think hole number 11 is probably the toughest. It's a long par 4. the wind is always off the left, which is not a good wind for me because I cut my driver a little bit. So the wind multiplies that. So that tee shot becomes really tough for me. And there's also one of those deep fairway bunkers there that you don't want to find yourself in. Toughest shot for me on the course, like I said, it's probably when the wind is off my back when I'm standing over the ball, left to right wind. Those are tough for me.
Have you had an opportunity to play Cherry Hills, where the amateur will be?
I have not yet. I'm hoping to go out to Denver like a week early this year so that I can get used to the elevation. But I've heard a lot of great things about Cherry Hill, so I'm super excited for that.
Who's the #1 man in Ohio State's golf team this year?
Um,
They decided yet?
It's me or my teammate Adam Wallen. We've rotated between each other for the one spot so far this year.
How's your fiance's game? I'm guessing she's a golfer too, since her dad was your high school coach.
Yeah, so she didn't play golf in high school growing up. She played softball and volleyball, but she has a lot of natural talent playing the game. I kind of wish she would have played in high school because she could be pretty good. We were just over at my dad's new place that he works at, Tee It Up Canton. I don't know if anybody's been there yet, but we were just over there this past weekend, and she just grabbed one of my clubs and started hitting shots, and she was hitting the center of the face like every time. So I'm like, maybe you should start playing more often. But
And you can plug it because it's a new place, so you gotta know where it's at.
yeah, there's a new indoor simulator putting hole, setup. It's called Tee It Up Canton. Yeah, it's a great spot if you want to go in and hit some shots and hang out with your friends. Great spot.
Tell them where it's located because they don't know.
7973 Whipple. Whipple and Shuffle, goes to the corner of Whipple and Shuffle.
There you go.
Next to Redware.
You gotta talk through the mic because
Okay.
they pick up. Whipple and
How do you think you're gonna fare in the Big Ten this year? Are you one of the stronger teams?
Yeah, I think this year we have a pretty good chance to win the Big Ten championship. In college golf, it's only one tournament. It's the Big Ten championship itself that decides who wins the league. It doesn't matter how you've played up to that point. Illinois is a really tough team to beat. They've won, I think, like 13 of the last 14 Big Ten championships. So we're hoping to get their number this year.
Curious what kind of bounce you play on your wedges, and does that rotate depending on, is this sort of subject? What kind of bounce you play, and then do you rotate that out depending on conditions and the courses that you're playing and wet or soft or dry?
I do. So I have multiple 60 degree. I chip with my 60 degree most of the time, and I have multiple of those. I have an 8 degree M grind that I play most with because it's pretty versatile. You can use it on pretty much any conditions. And then I have a 6 degree bounce T grind that is better for super firm conditions.
Do you play with opening it up at all ever, or is it pretty much use the grind, use the bounce, and square it up?
I definitely open it up a lot. I try to hit a lot of different shots around the greens.
What do you use out of the bunkers?
I use a 60 degree out of the bunker as well.
Is Tad Clay part owner of Tee It Up Canton?
He is.
All right, one more question.
All right.
This is a rumor I heard that there's Ohio State, you can get a full scholarship for being a caddy. You have your own little campus and everything. Is that true?
I'm pretty sure that there's this thing called the Evans Scholars Program. I think Ohio State participates in it, but I think they provide at least one student every year to like study to become a caddy. Yeah, I think they can do that.
Maxwell, I was going to ask you, it might be a little bit early to ask you this, your college plan and your future. But
Yeah.
do you have any aspirations to be a coach, a golf coach later on?
Not right now. I'm hoping to play for quite a while, but once I'm older, I think that some level of mentorship, maybe coaching, I would definitely be interested in that. I'm a big basketball fan and I watch a lot of basketball. I play a lot of basketball in my free time, so I wouldn't mind late in my life being involved with a basketball team in some way. That'd be cool too. Anybody else?
You're going to Hilton Head this weekend?
Yeah, I'm leaving for Carlton River on Friday.
Now, I have a grandson down there that plays, are you just gonna play private courses or do you play just like the RBC, a heritage course, that kind of thing?
We have a 2-day tournament next Monday and Tuesday at Carlton River Club. So we'll play there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I think. So we'll be pretty much there most of the weekend.
Was your mom on the state championship Hoover basketball team back in the day?
I'm not sure.
What was her maiden name?
I don't think so.
Lieberdet. She can shoot it.
Is your three as good as hers?
Not quite. I can shoot all right, but she can really shoot it.
His jumper's as pretty as his golf
Got one right here.
Okay.
You're a junior now?
I am.
What, your first 2 years on the team, what was Ohio State's finish in the top 10 schools, the golf teams?
Yeah, my freshman year, we missed the national championship by a couple of shots. So in NCAA golf, there's 6 different regional tournaments, 15 teams at each every May. And the top 5 teams from each of those tournaments advance to the national championship. And we missed that by 2 shots my freshman year. And then last year, we qualified for the national championship. I think we finished somewhere in the 20s. We didn't play too great. But I'm confident that this year, if we get back there, we can make a little bit of a run. All right.
Anything else?
Thank you, guys.